Coming up on BCSC360, we profile Columbus North senior Randall Watts and his involvement in Unified Track. Dr. Jim Roberts is in studio to discuss the vital role special education plays in our school system. We meet BCSC Autism Coordinator Amber Wolf, the Special Education Teacher of the Year. Columbus North is in our school spotlight, and we'll have another installment of Ask Dr. Roberts. All coming up on BCSC360. Hello and welcome to the Columbus East Television Studio and another edition of BCSC360. I'm your host, Columbus East Junior Drew Johnson, alongside Bartholomew Consolidated School Corporation Superintendent, Dr. Jim Roberts. Hi, Dr. Roberts. Thanks for being in the studio today.
You're welcome, Drew, and thank you for being here as well to help us out with our November edition of BCSC360. Really looking forward to a great show as we talk about the special education services in our school corporation.
This year, BCSC is responsible for educating over 11,000 students. What are some of the benefits of having such a large and diverse student population?
Well, a lot of people might think being large and diverse would create many challenges, and there certainly are challenges with any school corporation and the situations, the needs that exist. But we do look at the large population that we have, as well as the diverse population we have, as benefits. And we do that because by being large, we're able to provide more opportunities for our students. More opportunities, more choices. When we look at the number of schools that we have, the amount of coursework we have, extracurricular activities, co-curricular activities, just different options that our students can choose from, we think being large helps us out. From a diverse standpoint, I think it makes us better. When we look at our student population being about 72% white, 28% other, it gives us a chance to see more what the world is really like. And here in Columbus, maybe compared to most communities in southern Indiana, that is different. And by having the opportunity to learn from each other, learn about other cultures, other languages, those kinds of things, it makes us better as a school corporation. So I do look at both the size of our school corporation as well as the diverse nature of our school corporation as positives for BCSC.
Students and staff participate in many activities, not only within BCSC, but within the community at large as well. With an account of how students with special needs truly benefit from community involvement, Josh Burnett from Celebrate Columbus has the story of Randall Watts, a senior at Columbus North High School.
Randall's a great young man. He's got the same kinds of quirkiness that all students have.
Randall doesn't look like he has special needs until you are around him and see that he doesn't talk and that he has his noises. So just don't judge a person by the way they look, because you don't know what's going on with them on the inside.
Special needs people have the same desires and needs that we do. They like a lot of the same stuff. Just sometimes things are trickier for them, more difficult, but they like to be loved, they like to be accepted, they like to be part of the group.
Well, Mr. Teague is the one that told us about Unified Track. We didn't think Randall would ever like to run because we had tried it before and he had always cried and just had zero interest. But Mr. Teague thought it would be a good fit. So we tried it and he ended up loving it and blossoming into a love of distance running that we never would have dreamed possible. And if Mr. Teague hadn't have brought that to our attention, he just would not have found running as his exercise and it's his release, and I think it makes him feel better.
Unified Track is a forum where students can come together with multiple abilities in a common avenue and be able to express their own abilities.
Sam is a volunteer at our Sidekicks program that we started to help other kids that might have an interest in exercising. Sam is a volunteer and he's absolutely amazing with the kids. He runs with them, he's so kind and patient. He and his mom both attend.
Sidekicks is helping special needs children, young adults get more active by providing running partners for them, because obviously some of them aren't able to run out in town on their own, so we provide some safety for them and help them get active. I usually run with Randall, and when we do, I usually do more of the talking. I usually tell some stories and he seems to enjoy it, and it's just kind of relaxing for me as well because a lot of people are bombarding me throughout the day, and Randall's a pretty chill guy, so it's fun to be around him. One of the things I really appreciate about Randall is his relationship with his mom and how well they communicate. I find it really interesting because they communicate better with each other, sometimes better than me and my mom do, which is surprising, and it's cool to watch and see how they've developed different ways to communicate with each other.
Randall loves M&Ms, but only the milk chocolate M&Ms, and we've had to limit them to 2 days a week, otherwise he would eat them nonstop. So those are kind of a special thing, but it's the only kind of candy that really that he likes, and we use it after runs on Saturdays when he has his 5Ks. He'll come through the finish line, and I have to have the bag of M&Ms ready, and he'll eat those before he drinks his water.
Randall and I have been in class together for the last couple of years. I have him in a math class, and we've been able to establish rapport where I have been fortunate enough to be able to give him time to express himself in the way that he's most comfortable with, and so he's become very trustworthy of me to give him that time to express himself.
Randall is one of the happiest people I've ever met, and he wants everybody else to be happy. If he thinks somebody's having a bad day or somebody looks sad, he'll say happy face. He just is very easygoing and just loves for everybody else to be happy.
I think BCSC does an incredible job of sharing information, educating the typical kids, and trying to make accommodations for special needs kids. But a lot of credit goes to the students throughout the school system. Randall's had a tremendous amount of support and just been treated great all through school. It's been a positive experience for him almost completely, and I'm really proud of the students at North and East, and the elementary school. He went to Schmidt and then to Northside, and students all along have treated him really great, and he's a happy guy.
I'm joined again by Dr. Jim Roberts. Dr. Roberts, how does BCSC work to remove barriers to learning for students in special education?
It's a great question, Drew, and it's important that as we address the needs of our kids, we are able to identify the barriers that are in front of them and then help them go over, under, around, through those barriers to accomplish learning. And the main way we do that is through Universal Design for Learning, UDL. It is our instructional framework. We train our staff to understand how to meet the needs of all learners, to analyze those barriers, identify them, help students realize what they are, and then to get around them, through them, over, above them to accomplish the needs that they have. And I think one of the key things that we have is the ability to address or recognize variability among students. So we have students across the spectrum in terms of what they come into the class, they bring to the class, strengths, weaknesses, whatever those might be. We try to capitalize upon their assets, move with those, and then make sure that we celebrate their ability to achieve and to develop expert learners in the process. So the key piece there, I think, is Universal Design for Learning and that instructional approach that all staff members in our corporation are well versed on.
Advancements in technology have provided more flexible access to learning for all students in BCSC. How does this specifically assist students in special education?
Well, technology automatically expands the resources available to our staff members as well as our kids, and so the fact that we are also a one-to-one school corporation, technology is readily available at all of our students' fingertips, and so we bring all the resources that technology has, we put it right in front of our students, and so that helps all of our kids, including our special education students, as they attempt to go through those barriers. We've talked about barriers already, and I didn't mention technology earlier, but certainly technology is a way that we can address the barriers that are in front of students. And when I think about our special education population and our attempts to get as many students in the general education classroom for as often as possible, technology is one way we can do that, because regardless of the setting, we can bring the necessary resources to the table. Content area standards, for example, we can make sure that the student has the content area grade level standards that are most appropriate for him or her in front of them and ready to use at any point in time. And I mentioned trying to get as many of our special education students into the regular classroom as possible. Right now, 89% of our special needs students are in a regular education classroom at least 80% of the day, and that is well above industry standard. When we think about other school corporations and their ability to do that, it's typically in the 60%, 65% range, and so we're very proud of that, and a lot of that occurs, our ability to do that is because of technology.
Our school spotlight this month is produced entirely by the students of Columbus North, who are proud to shine the spotlight on their school.
Columbus High School was established in Columbus, Indiana during 1905 after the demolition of its predecessor building, Central High School. It was renamed to Columbus North High School after its sister school, Columbus East, was built in 1973. There are officially 2,019 students enrolled at North, making it the biggest high school in Bartholomew County, with an expansive alumni network that includes people such as the co-host of the TV show Mythbusters, Jamie Heineman, and Vice President Mike Pence. North is a great educational environment for its students, as evident by the fact that it has above national and state average SAT scores, coupled with the vast majority, nearly 95%, of its graduates enrolling in some form of post-secondary education. The newly renovated auditorium hosts a bevy of events during the course of the school year, with the most notable being the spring and fall plays put on by the excellent drama department. While all this is happening, the Columbus North Band, the Sound of North, is preparing for the regional and state competitions that they make it to nearly every year. On the other end of the spectrum, Columbus North Athletics also excels, with 11 team sectional titles, 10 regional titles, and 12 state titles across all of the Bulldog teams. Columbus North also allows students opportunities to help in the community through its various C4 programs and food drives that collected 14,500 cans for 150 local families in Columbus. And North's journalism department is there at the sidelines to make sure every moment is immortalized and brought to the students and faculty with a nationally recognized student media program. For more information on North, please go to cnhsmedia.com.
Dr. Roberts, I know this is a tough question, but what is your favorite thing about Columbus North High School?
I think I've done this before, Drew, is when thinking about one of our schools, not identified a favorite thing, but maybe a list of favorite things. So I'll approach it from that way. I have the opportunity to tour every one of our buildings on a regular basis, and I've been at Columbus North High School a lot, and I really enjoy the camaraderie of that student body. And they recently did a lip dub video that I found very entertaining, and especially like the part where Mr. Clark, their principal, does a somersault in the middle of the football field. I also like the campus. The Columbus North campus sits with other school buildings that we have, from Northside and Schmidt Elementary, and then even St. Bartholomew's, the private school, is there. So it's a neat feel and campus surrounding. As a basketball player growing up, I had the chance to play at Memorial Gymnasium. It's one of the largest high school gymnasiums, not only in the state but in the country, seating nearly 7,000 people. So that's a historic gymnasium that was built, I believe, in 1954. And then the Courtyard Restaurant is there. It's a part of our C4 program that operates at both Columbus East and Columbus North. The restaurant part is at Columbus North, and during this time of year the restaurant is open during lunch, and I enjoy taking my cabinet members from the administration building to the restaurant, enjoying the food that our students have prepared. So just a few things that I like about Columbus North High School.
In September, the Council for Exceptional Children named a BCSC educator as their 2017 Indiana Special Education Teacher of the Year. Josh Burnett caught up with BCSC Autism Coordinator Amber Wolf.
In BCSC, special education is unique because it is an integrated part of the system. And in a lot of other places, education is kind of siloed. They may look at special ed, elementary ed, secondary ed, all kind of as individual ways or individual aspects of education. And in BCSC, we work together across all those silos. So special ed is integrated pre-K through 12, and we work kind of hand in hand with the other directors and with special ed and regular ed teachers. And I think that makes us special, and that's able to happen because of the adoption of the Universal Design for Learning framework in BCSC that kind of drives all our work.
As a district, we talk a lot about the framework of Universal Design for Learning and removing barriers for all students, and I think that benefits students with disabilities because then those barriers aren't in that gen ed setting, which makes it easier for them to be included in the gen ed setting. And it also makes it a situation where they're not standing out as much when they're getting different accommodations or being able to use different pieces of technology, because those are available to all students, and so it's more acceptable for kids to be using things that help them as learners, and they're things that work for all students.
Inclusion has been a very important aspect within BCSC. Students with disabilities and without disabilities have both benefited from the success of the inclusion programs. Students without disabilities have made great friendships with students who do have disabilities, and vice versa. It's also been really amazing to see the academic growth of students with disabilities when going into the general education setting. We've seen a lot of success so far with the inclusion process.
Well, I think as we continue to create learning environments that don't have as many barriers in them, it's just going to be much more conducive to students with disabilities being in those gen ed settings. And I think as we look at having kids, like at the middle school now, we have kids who are at Central who typically in the past would have been only at Northside, and looking at having kids at their home schools and being able to attend those home schools instead of having to go to a separate school to receive services they need, I think is kind of where I would like to see things in the future.
I was completely shocked when I found out I was the Council for Exceptional Children's Award winner for Teacher of the Year. In my current role, I get to work with a lot of amazing teachers and get to see, amazing things within the school system. So to say I was shocked was an understatement.
Dr. Roberts, how are educators like Amber Wolf contributing to the success of students with special needs?
Wow, Drew, the educators we have like Amber, first of all, Amber, congratulations to her on her award, and thanks to her for everything she does for our students. Special educators like Amber are critical to our success. First of all, they are warm, caring, compassionate individuals that bring that to the table to work with our kids and to move them along. But additionally, they have important skills in the area of special education. In Amber's case, she's an autism coordinator, so that's a focus of hers. But in other areas, we have from learning disabilities to emotional disabilities to severe disabilities, teachers working with our students from a life skills perspective, just addressing a host of needs, hearing, speech, vision, whatever those cases might be. And so we appreciate everything that they do. And because of their involvement in our school, they allow us to be as inclusive as possible. I mentioned earlier the fact that we're trying to get as many students in a regular education classroom as much as we can. 89% of our special education students in a general education classroom at least 80% of the day. And in order to do that, we have to remove all these barriers that we've also already talked about in the show. And educators like Amber help us do that. So again, congratulations to her, and thanks to all of the special education teachers, resource people that we have in our school corporation as they assist us in removing barriers, providing resources for our students so that all of our students can be successful.
How is BCSC working to support students in special education?
We don't randomly add programs, and so we're very careful about choosing the things that we're going to use to put in place to serve the needs of our kids. But one of the newest things that we're doing is expanding our transitional services for students. We were fortunate to receive a $750,000 grant from TIF dollars from the City of Columbus, and a portion of those dollars, about a third, are being placed toward these specific services, which is helping our special education students transition from school into the world of work or post-secondary education, whatever it is that they are looking to go into. We believe that this community has an untapped quality talent pool with our special education population that is getting ready to graduate or move on from BCSC, and we're wanting to open the door to that talent pool and make sure that our employers are aware of that. And a part of our needs or requirements in ensuring that happens is working closely with the employers in our community, making connections with our students, and then ensuring that our students have the skills necessary to transition appropriately out of our school system. So that transition piece is something we've been doing for a long time, but we realized we needed to be better at that, and receiving some dollars from the City of Columbus in part to help with that. We want to thank the City of Columbus for that, and we look forward to meeting needs of our students as we transition them out of our school system.
Okay, now it's time for everyone's new favorite segment, Ask Dr. Roberts. Our first question is, what is BCSC doing to attract high-quality employees throughout the school system?
Drew, this is an especially important question given the topic of our show already, which is trying to expand our services to our special education students and make sure they are as successful as possible. If I take that a little bit further, just think of all of our kids and the job that we're doing. We have to have high quality employees in place. And when we're talking about employees as a school system, we have both certified staff members, those who require a license to do the position they're in, as well as support staff, so are serving a variety of needs for us, but don't necessarily need a license to do that job. So when we look at those employees, we are doing a few things, but specifically concentrating on wages and benefits. So as we're able to improve the wages we're able to pay, increase the benefits that we are able to offer, and address the needs from that standpoint, we believe that we can better attract high-quality employees. As we have laid out our district plan on a page, so our school improvement model, one of the key metrics for us is how do we compare with area schools and then state school corporations when it comes to the wages and benefits we offer to our employees. So through the recent contract negotiations, for example, with our teachers, our very specific goal was to create a salary scale that would be competitive in our ability to attract high-quality staff members. A year ago, we ran through a similar process with our support staff to try to make sure that comparatively what we were paying was the most appropriate and highly competitive. And then also recently, we've been addressing our health insurance premiums. Health insurance tends to be something that goes up regularly. If any of us have had the chance to follow nationally what's going on with healthcare and the constant efforts to look at healthcare and try to improve it. In our own school corporation, we're trying to do the same thing, and with some of the changes we've made, we've been able to keep premiums relatively flat as we move into the 2018 calendar year. So that's a few things that we're trying to do. Lastly, I would add, wages and benefits are certainly a part of that equation, but we also need to make sure that we have a sound, effective work environment, a satisfactory work environment for all of our employees. So we're going to be putting out a survey here soon, because another part of our district plan on a page, or our school improvement plan, is to understand better what our satisfaction levels are of our employees, try to address those, improve, and be better in that area. So wages, benefits, and a highly satisfactory work environment are the things we're trying to accomplish in our school system.
The timing of our next question is perfect. It's November, and bad weather could start at any time. Dr. Roberts, what is the process for determining whether or not we will have a delay or if schools will be closed?
Drew, this is probably especially important to a student and how this all works out. And I don't know if you individually like delays or closings, maybe delays because you just sleep in a little bit later. So most high school kids like that okay. But it is that time of year where we don't know if it might snow any given day, gets a little bit of ice on the road, fog, whatever the case might be. But we do have a very intense process to check this out. We are up early. We are checking the weather, whether it be via technology, computer, news, TV, making phone calls to area schools, and just being out on the roads checking things out. That process starts very early in the morning. Obviously, oftentimes, because of the weather forecast, we have a better idea heading into that next morning than we do in other cases. But we are up and about. We try to understand the road conditions and whether or not our buses can travel safely on them, and that's what our first thought is. I know we have students driving, we know we have parents bringing students to school, but our first priority is how well can our buses travel on the roads that we have. And we have a large geography. It's not just the city of Columbus. We go well out into Bartholomew County, so a lot of county roads, and how can we do that? And so as we evaluate that from around 4 o'clock a.m. to 5:15 a.m., we're trying to make a determination in that time frame, because we have to make it early in order to keep our buses at home. Otherwise, if we wait too long, we have those first buses rolling pretty early in the morning, before 6 o'clock a.m., and getting out and starting to pick up students in some cases, again, given the geography that we have. And so we will, in that 5:15 a.m. to 5:30 a.m. time frame, try to make a final decision so that we can begin the communication process, because the decision-making process is one thing, the communication process is another, and making sure we get that information out to everybody, you, your parents, our bus drivers, our employees, the entire community, because it does change the morning when our buses, students aren't trying to get into school. If you're not following Twitter, or our Twitter feed or our Facebook page, you might do that, because one of the first places we're going to post the information about delays or closings is through social media, so Twitter, Facebook, as well as our e-alert system. So if we have individuals who are watching the show and have not signed up yet for our e-alert system, go to our website. You can access Twitter and Facebook from our website, as well as sign up for our e-alerts, which is something that might be used for a variety of situations, but definitely used for closings or delays. And so again, one of the first things that we're going to do, Twitter, Facebook, e-alerts, and then we are contacting the media, actually picking up the phone, calling our radio stations, television stations in the area, so that they know what is happening with BCSC in terms of delays and closings. But it is a heck of a process, and not one that I ever look forward to as we get into the winter time. I will take this opportunity to state once again, and we stated this last year, that just because it's cold doesn't mean we're going to stay home. If we can get our buses started and our buildings the heaters are running and it's warm in the buildings, we're going to try to go to school. Now, if it's really cold and we have some weather conditions, a little bit of ice, a little bit of snow, some mixture in between, that changes that conversation. But if it's just cold, roads are clear, it's likely we're going to try to get to school on those particular days. So it is about November here, and I guess when this show first airs, it's going to be November, and we have about 3 or 4 months of looking at the weather to see how things might go on any given day. But Twitter, Facebook, signing up for our e-alerts is the fastest way to get information on delays or closing, and then of course we have the information via radio and television.
That's all we have time for on this edition of BCSC 360. New episodes of BCSC 360 will premiere on the first Sunday of the month at 6 p.m. For BCSC Superintendent Dr. Jim Roberts, I'm Columbus East Junior Drew Johnson. Thanks for watching.